Hello, I'd like to talk about VLANs today. Here's a drawing that if you followed some of my other videos you might have seen before. I've added a few things to it. So I just want to start off on the EdgeRouter. I'm going to take port Ethernet 3, which is a SFP port, and I've purchased an adapter for this port. It's just basically a SFP to RJ45 Ethernet connection, so it's just a wired cable that goes between these two devices. I also have a Juniper switch EX2200-C. It's only got like 14 or 15 ports, something like that, on this device. So what I've done is I've broken them up into each. I've assigned 4 ports. I'm getting ready to assign 4 ports for each VLAN. So, but let's go back to EdgeRouter. So up here on the EdgeRouter, I'm going to use Ethernet 3 as the main trunk VLAN port, and I'm going to create these 3 VLANs on the EdgeRouter and assign them these individual gateway addresses for their network segments. So basically, I'm expanding my EdgeRouter to allow more network segments that I can now control individually as necessary. And as you can see, I've got a line coming down in here to the Juniper switch. These are the individual VLANs, and I've got one system here that's connected to VLAN 50. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. Alright, so I've already got these configured up, but I just want to go over the process. So basically you are creating, here's my setup on the dashboard. I'm looking at LAN 3, Ethernet interface 3, and then I've created these 3 VLANs that are part of Ethernet 3. So we're trunking these 3 VLANs through Ethernet 3. If we just look at the VLAN tab, we just show the individual VLANs that we're dealing with. Go back to all. If we wanted to add another VLAN, we could go here, give it the VLAN ID that we want it to have, and then I think we could just give it a description. We need to tell it what Ethernet interface that you want to put it on, and then the description. So, and then obviously you could give it a manual. So let's just run through this real quick. Let's say I wanted to add a 60, so I could do a 60. I could add 3. Description I'm going to make is going to be VLAN 60. And then if I was going to add, whoops. .10.10.6.1, and then I could hit save. Okay, so as you can see, I've now created another VLAN 60. So alright, so one of the other things that you want to be aware of is routing. So once you've created up these network segments, it's going to start creating these automatic routes that are set up. As you can see, this one just popped in, 10.10.6.0. So it knows what interface to connect to. In this case, it's the VLAN on VLAN 60. And as you can see, I've got 5, 4, 3. 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all on Ethernet 3, and they're all individual VLANs. But I mean, heck, I've just now added 4 network segments that I can now control to my box. All right, so if I wanted to set up DNAT to any one of these network segments, a device that may be sitting on there, it's easy to do. It's the same concept that we went over before. So let's go ahead and look at the Juniper real quick. So I want to minimize this. So let's just go back to the drawing real quick. Okay, so I'm going to be administering the Juniper over here. I've got a serial connection from Win10 TST1 connected up to my Juniper, and that's how I'm going to configure these. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. Alright, so this is my Juniper interface. Type CLI to get into the console. If I want to show VLANs, just make sure that, yep. Just hit return. And it's going to show the individual VLANs that I have set up. Right now I've got VLAN 30 with a tag of 30, VLAN 40, VLAN 50. And we might as well just go ahead and let's just go ahead and create. So I think I need to go to configure, set VLANs, VLAN 60. VLAN ID will be 60. And then we're going to commit. Alright. We're going to exit, show VLANs. And now I've got VLAN 60. But if you'll notice, in the Juniper world, each one of these VLANs is assigned to an interface. And if you notice, they're all assigned to GE-0/1/1 dot whatever, and then 60 has none connected to it. So excellent. Okay, so the Juniper does have a web interface, and sometimes it makes it a little easier to do quickly, just go in and assign stuff. It's interesting though, one of the things that you needed to do with a Juniper is you actually had to go in and define the VLANs via the command line. And then if you wanted to assign them. So basically I've got this is my SFP uplink port that goes to the EdgeRouter, and it's in trunk mode, and these are the VLANs that are assigned to it. And if I want to go in and edit and hit VLAN options, I've defined the mode of the port as trunk. I've got 30, 40, 50. If I want to just go ahead and add, I hit here. Now the VLAN 60 would not have shown up on this list unless I had gone through the command line and added it. And I have yet to figure out how to way to do it through the GUI. But anyway, just add VLAN 60. And we're going to hit commit. Okay, so now you can see that I now have VLAN 30, 40, 50, and 60 on the switch. Now, if I wanted to assign, like in my drawing over here, so if I wanted to actually split this up into individual VLANs on the switch, this is the way I would do it. All switches are different. But this is pretty easy. So I've already got one of the ports already assigned, so I could just go over here and hit edit, VLAN option. I'm going to leave it in access mode, and I'm going to go pick 30 and say okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create that 4 block block of 4 individual Ethernet ports that I can now use for this VLAN. Alright, so then I would just go. I think you get the idea of what I'm doing here. I'm going to go to 40. And I would just go all the way down. Make this one 40, 40, 40, and then make sure this one 50, 50, 50, 50, and I guess I could do the last one as 60 if I wanted to. So anyway, that's pretty much the switch part of it. But the good thing about it is you don't necessarily have to create a trunk or a VLAN if you need more Ethernet ports. Let's just go back and look at the drawing real quick. So if you just need Ethernet ports for each one of your ports, you could just take a switch and you could just assign, you could just create one VLAN. Actually, you don't even need to do that. You don't even need to create a VLAN up here. You could just leave this all just the way it is with your individual gateways, and then you would just take your plug, instead of plugging it directly into one device, you could plug it directly into one of the VLAN ports, and then you've got 3 other devices that you could hook up to this particular VLAN that will get you out of, say, Ethernet 1. Okay, and then you could do the same thing with 2. You could take 2 and bring it down, and you just need to create the VLANs on the switch. You don't need to create any VLANs on the router, just on the switch. And this would give you the ability to, number one, not have to buy multiple switches, right? Because if you wanted to segregate all of your Ethernet connections, let's say you've got a wireless connection and you've got all your systems that are wired, and let's say you have a guest connection you want to make, you can just use one switch and then carve up that switch into the separate VLANs. That's the beauty of VLANs. And then that way you don't have to purchase multiple switches to do the job 3 or 4 different times. So it's an easy way to set up VLANs. And I think that's about it. Please subscribe and let me know if you like this channel or not. I plan to continue to do more little bits and pieces here and there. But please subscribe and please leave a comment if you want to say hello. Thanks.